President Volodymyr Zelenskyy met with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and said he trusts she will help with his country.
Lithuania's government has declared a state of emergency over security risks posed by smuggler balloons from Belarus.
The European Union is not immune to the erosion of fundamental rights. This is the warning issued by the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Türk.
The European Commission launched a probe into Google over its use of online content to power its AI services. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy met with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni in Rome on Tuesday, welcoming the in-depth conversation the two had and calling Italy's support important. According to Meloni's office, the two leaders discussed the progress of the peace process and emphasized the importance of US and European unity. Zelenskyy, who spoke to journalists prior to the meeting, said he trusted Meloni to help Ukraine. The Ukrainian leader also said he was ready for elections in response to Trump's accusation that he was using the war to avoid holding them. In the morning, Zelenskyy was welcomed by Pope Leo XIV at Castel Gandolfo. The Vatican said the Pope reiterated the need to continue dialogue in order to achieve a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. The Holy See added that the two also discussed prisoners of war and the return of abducted Ukrainian children to their families. Zelensky's trip to Rome follows visits to both London and Brussels, part of a broader push to rally more European support for his country.
Lithuania's government has declared a state of emergency over security risks posed by smuggler balloons from Belarus that have violated its airspace in recent weeks. The balloons are used to smuggle cigarettes into Lithuania, but officials say they are deliberate acts of disruption orchestrated by Belarus. Tensions between Vilnius and Minsk have escalated after the balloons forced Lithuania to repeatedly close its main airport in the past weeks, leaving thousands of people stranded. Authorities also closed the Belarusian border for several weeks in late October due to the balloon threat. Announcing the state of emergency, the Lithuanian government cited national security interests and the threat to human life, property and the environment from the balloons. The government has asked Parliament to allow the military to work together with police, border guard and security officials during the state of emergency. It was not immediately clear how long the state of emergency would last.
The European Union is not immune to the erosion of fundamental rights. The chilling warning came as the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Türk, delivered an address to mark International Human Rights Day, observed annually on 10 December.
They say that about half of EU member states have seen a reduction in civic space, and civic space is what makes us thrive, because we need an open and free civic space. We need to be able to express our opinions. We need to be able to protest if we think we can protest. We need to be able to associate. And I have seen a lot of tendencies, even political discussions around it, that want to restrict civic space on environmental issues, on climate issues, on migration issues, for example.
The UN Human Rights Chief called on the EU to defend its digital regulations, expressing concern about possible challenges of Digital Market Act and Digital Services Act that lie ahead.
Now there are some tendencies and some discussions to say maybe we should lower the standards. I hope that's not going in that direction, because Europe is really a lead example when it comes precisely to the digital space. Europe is also a lead example on regulating business and human rights. But we again see a discussion today about this omnibus process, which may want to lower it.
This year, the theme of Human Rights Day is Our Everyday Essentials. The aim is to highlight how this issue shapes our daily lives, sometimes in subtle ways.
The European Commission launched a probe into Google over its use of online content to power its AI services. The investigation will examine whether Google used web publishers' content to provide generative AI services on its search result pages without appropriate compensation and without giving them the option to refuse. It will also assess whether videos uploaded on YouTube were used to train Google's generative AI models. According to the tech giant, the complaint could hinder innovation in a market that is more competitive than ever. The decision comes days after the EU imposed a fine on Elon Musk's social network X for breaching its landmark Digital Services Act, further escalating transatlantic tensions. Since Trump returned to office in 2025, the EU and the US have been clashing over the bloc's enforcement of digital rules. Trump's administration accuses the EU of solely targeting US companies. However, the bloc says its legislation is non-discriminatory.
The World Summit AI brings global tech leaders, policymakers, and investors to Doha. Over the next 2 days, the country is unveiling several initiatives aimed at becoming a trusted hub for responsible, human-centric artificial intelligence. A dedicated Qatar pavilion welcomes visitors, showcasing real-world AI applications across healthcare, education, and media. One of the morning panels was on GovAI, scaling AI adoption across government. The session discussed how to establish a unified national approach to AI deployment.
The World AI Summit is positioning Qatar as a leader of AI. And this is why we have a platform that is discussing governance, discussing important topics related to infrastructure, sovereignty that matter to us. And we are trying to be leaders in these topics. Having this conversation here drives us as the epicenter of an AI global conversation.
New partnerships were also announced with major industry players, including Microsoft and Google, whose Qatar office opened in 2021.
The national AI skilling is a very important aspect in adopting the AI, and this is why the Qatari government are doing a great job in leveraging and adopting AI in the best way possible.
With global competition for AI leadership intensifying, including here in the region, Qatar is prioritizing responsible development and strategic collaboration to solidify its role on the world stage. Adil Halim, Euronews, Doha.
Today, Henrik Schober helps out at the Rosa Luxemburg High School in Berlin. Usually he teaches political science at a university, but because the German teacher of Class 7-2 is away on a class trip, he is standing in front of the students and has brought along a lesson on fake news for them.
Fälschungen werden immer besser und deswegen geht es natürlich auch für uns darum, dass wir so ein bisschen uns also zum einen anschauen, was sind Fälschungen und wie erkennt man Fälschungen, aber halt auch so drüber nachdenken, warum gibt es die eigentlich und was soll damit bezweckt werden.
Practical knowledge. The students like that.
Jetzt haben wir auch was Nützliches gehabt und wenn jetzt eine Vertretungslehrerin gekommen wäre, hätten wir, glaube ich, irgendwie einen Film geguckt oder sowas, was halt uns später nichts mehr geholfen hätte.
Wir hatten keinen Ausfall, obwohl das auch natürlich toll wäre, aber es hat mir auch Spaß gemacht.
Also ich fand es spannend, weil es wird später im Leben was bringen und man hat halt gelernt, wie man zum Beispiel jetzt Fake News erkennt.
The lesson is organized by the donation-funded startup Life Teach Us. Using an app, volunteers can suggest topics and step in when lessons are cancelled. By now, more than 300 schools across Germany are participating, and the trend is rising.
Die Arbeit, die wir machen, kommt extrem gut an. Also wir merken, dass sich sehr viele Eltern selber auch engagieren. Von den Schülerinnen und Schülern ist das Feedback extrem gut, weil sie einfach sagen, hey, das ist Wissen, das brauchen wir, das bekommen wir so im Fachunterricht nicht. Und selbst die Lehrkräfte bestätigen unsere Arbeit und sagen halt, das Wissen, was ihr habt, das kann ich gar nicht selber haben, weil da fehlt mir einfach die Berufserfahrung oder ich habe halt nur die Ahnung in meinem jeweiligen Fach.
A welcome relief. In Berlin alone, about 21,000 lessons are cancelled every week without replacement. In other parts of the country, the situation is similarly strained.
I use Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok. I would say like some of my favorites are probably Snapchat and Instagram.
Just a few months ago, a guy was shot in the US and the video was on social media everywhere, and I just went to school and then I saw it. And even me as a young person, that was very terrible and I felt really bad.
In far too many years, we have given the social media platforms free play in the playing rooms of our children. There's been no limits. When we go into the city at night, there is bouncers who are checking the age of young people to make sure that no one underage get into a party that they're not supposed to be in. In the digital world, we don't have any bouncers, and we definitely need that.
I think it's a good idea. I think that we didn't really realize what we were doing when we gave our children the telephone and social media from when they were 8-10 years old, and I don't quite think that the young people know what's normal, what's not normal.
I myself have some friends that I only know from online, and if I wasn't 15 yet, I wouldn't be able to talk with those friends, I wouldn't be able to meet those friends. And also, you just find things you like or things you want to do or things you really love online. And if you can't do that, I would be so sad.
So I definitely see the bad side of social media, but I think it's not the youth kind of responsibility to make sure there's no bad stuff on the internet. It's the people who created the government that need to regulate what we young people see.